We are joined by Ross Calladine, who is Visit England's in-house accessibility expert, and he works on developing initiatives that help tourism businesses tap into the high-value, growing, accessible tourism market. Today he will speak to us about the work he is doing to develop and market access for all English destinations. Ross?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'd like to talk about a particular initiative that we've been working on in England since 2012. But first, just a little bit of background as to Visit England. We are the National Tourist Board for England, so we are responsible for growing the value of the tourism economy in England. And as part of that, we recognise that the accessible tourism market is one way that we can help to meet our targets to grow the value of tourism. And linked with that is providing excellent visitor experiences for everyone. I wanted to share these with you. We've spent a lot of time in England over the past few years looking at the economic opportunity for businesses. Many businesses are hesitant in making improvements to accessibility, and what we want to do is tell them how much money disabled people have to spend. So we're tapping into their business sense. And we've released this today, so look out for this on Twitter. We have produced an infographic, and for the first time we're able to quantify the volume and value of all tourism in England by disabled people and their travelling party. And when you add in the spend on day trips, domestic overnight trips, that's British people having holidays in England, and also inbound tourism, people travelling from abroad to England, each year those groups spend £12.4 billion. I mean, that's a huge figure. The day visits is the biggest component. I mean, if you look at inbound trips, it's relatively small. It's £0.3 billion. And I think inbound has a lot of opportunity, telling more people around the world that England has good accessibility, and we very much welcome you to visit. But it's important to put that big figure into a context. Otherwise, it's just a big figure. And what we know is that actually 14% of all overnight tourism in England is taken by disabled people and their friends and family. 14%. Now, the figure at the chart at the bottom of this slide shows the growth between 2009 and 2013, and it's quite unbelievable, really. The value of the accessible tourism market has increased 33% in England between 2009 and 2013. Now that's against all tourism, all overnight tourism, growing 11%. So this market is growing much quicker than all tourism. It's a very powerful message for businesses and destinations. Okay, so a bit about our project. We've been developing what we call accessible tourism itineraries in England. We worked with 4 destinations around England. 2 key parts to the project. The first part is the product development, working with the businesses, just around 8 businesses in each destination, so hotels, accommodation, visitor attractions, to improve their accessibility for all. And then the second part was completely new to us, was a mainstream national marketing campaign to the accessible tourism market. And I've got some exciting things to show you for that campaign. So we worked with Newcastle Gateshead, which is right in the north-east of England, Leicestershire in the middle, the historic city of Bath, so very ancient buildings, and in Brighton, which is a seaside coastal destination on the south coast. We have a process in England that we've had in inspiring all of our work for many years, and that's that for a destination or business to be truly accessible, they have to look at what we call the 3 pillars, very similar to what our friends in Flanders do. So we say you have to look at the information, the customer service and the disability awareness, and of course the physical facilities. So we came up with this process on the side of the slide here, where we took all of the businesses in those 4 destinations through a process to improve their accessibility. So we went and had an inspection, an audit by a professional accessible tourism auditor. They would write an improvement plan, and that plan would flag up what they believed to be high priority actions and things that were medium term, so they could be put into business plans in the longer term. Then the staff, the customer-facing staff, were taken through disability awareness training. Now, to be able to do that, we had to put the majority through an online training program, but I'll talk more about our ambitions for more face-to-face training later on. We had disabled people go and actually experience the attractions and stay in the hotels. So very important that it's not just an expert going in, but there's real people going in and telling us how they're finding it. And then the information, which of course we hear a lot over the conference, the importance of accurate information so that people can make an informed choice. By the time the businesses have done all of that, if they're still with us, we include them in the marketing campaign. So there's a big carrot as an incentive. So this is really what I wanted to share with you, because I think this is the most interesting part of the work. The marketing campaign had the objective of encouraging disabled people and others with access needs to take trips within England. Please bear in mind this is a domestic marketing campaign, so you probably didn't see it. It was going out to British people, encouraging them to stay at home and have their holidays. It needed to raise awareness of accessible destinations and give disabled people confidence that there are great places that will meet your needs and you can go and have fun. The target audience is around 18%, but it's much bigger really. The 18% is the official figure of people with impairments and health conditions in England. We ran the marketing campaign in March 2014, and that coincided with the Winter Paralympic Games. So we decided to have a Paralympic element to our campaign. Okay, and then here are some of our advertisements. We worked with disabled people to test out about 6 different concepts, and unanimously they like this concept. So what this advertising does is that it leads with the experience. That's why everyone wants to go on holiday, because they want to go and have a great time. They want to go for the sun and the sea, the relaxation and maybe the romance. But also, for this market, the ramps are important. The step-free access is important. The handrails are important, and the accessible loos are very important. So each one of these is specific to one of the 4 destinations. So the history, heritage, and handrails, that nods to Leicestershire, because we had lots of historic attractions we were working with. In Newcastle, where we had lots of shopping, retail, food and drink, that's the art aperitifs, ... and accessible loos. So we produced mini guides for each of these destinations with the same striking advertorial. And the guides had a page on each of the businesses saying what they had to offer, and also some important key information on their accessibility. And it told people where they can go and get more detailed information. It was available in large print and also in audio MP3s. We had an area, obviously, on the Visit England website, which we pushed people to go and find more information. And, of course, all of our communications, our newsletters for the month of March, we really pushed the campaign. Okay, so how did we spend most of the money? Well, it was spent on media buying, so we wanted to go into mainstream media. We didn't just want to go into specialist disability magazines. We wanted to go into the national newspaper. And we went into a large one called the Daily Express, because their readership aligned more closely with the demographic of disabled people. So here's an example of a top Paralympian, Ben Rushgrove, and he went and visited one of the itineraries, and he wrote a great article for us. And another Paralympian called Gemma Collis, she is local to Newcastle. She lives in Newcastle, and she went and had a great time at the attractions and stayed in the hotel, and wrote us a lovely article as well. The newspaper website carried lots of articles and information on the itineraries. And this was useful. We partnered, we had a commercial partnership with the Association of Train Operating Companies. And where that was valuable is that it gave the travel component of these itineraries. We were really pushing train travel. There is a card called the Disabled Persons Rail Card in England, and it gives disabled people 1/3 off the cost of travelling by train. And this organisation gave us money for the marketing campaign, and we were able to push their rail card and tell people how accessible rail travel can be in England. So results, because I know you're going to ask me about the results. We haven't finished, but here's some results. What we were able to do is look at the reader panel for the newspaper and ask them a set of questions. 73% agreed that it was a good way to advertise a holiday in England, which was encouraging. And 52%, which I'm told from my marketing colleagues is quite a good recall rate for such advertisements. I have to take their word for that. I'm not a marketeer. 30%, so you know, we don't have a benchmark for that at the moment. Holidays in England, this message was taken away. Holidays in England cater for disabled people and others with access needs. So to summarise the campaign, it was the first ever campaign that the National Tourist Board had run specifically appealing to this market. We funded it through something called the Regional Growth Fund, which gave us £100,000 plus some commercial sponsorship for our activity. And it did increase the likelihood of the market to take a break within England. And also it improved, so 52% said it improved their perceptions towards England being an accessible destination. So we're very pleased with that. Now the research we're conducting as we sit here today is to actually see whether it generated any additional trips. Otherwise I'll probably be out of a job. So we hope it did, and we're moving on now to a legacy. So allow me to just come to an end to my presentation. We've been successful, I'm pleased to say, in acquiring some money, some grant from the European Commission, and it allows us to work with another 7 destinations, which is fantastic. We're expanding. We're not at 25. I do admire 25, and I hope that we get there soon. So another 7. We started that work on the 1st of October, and I hope that we can have a bit of an international element as well, although the money is still quite modest for having a national marketing campaign. But in September 2015, we hope to have that campaign. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Please do catch me in a break. Follow me if you really get bored on Twitter, and check out the information that we have on accessible tourism on both our consumer website and a whole host of resources for businesses which I haven't spoke about today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Any questions for Ross Calladine from Visit England? Any questions? Here in front.
Was it done by Visit England, or did you partner with any of the disability organizations?
Yes, so disability organisations were mainly involved through the mystery shopping element of the itineraries. In this next project, we will be having kick-off workshops in each of the destinations, and we want local, in England we have groups called access groups, and they are people with different access needs in their locations, trying to strive for better accessibility, and we want them to come along from the very start and be involved in talking to the businesses and come on the journey with us.
You concentrated on day trippers, as I understand it.
Not necessarily for the campaign. The figures at the start, my slide, shows that day visits actually do make up the biggest component, but our marketing campaign was very much trying to drive overnight trips.
Now, when you say make up the greatest proportion of, is that of all tourism?
Yes.
So most of your tourism is domestic. It's people from within England going to.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, I have two questions. One is, would you extend with Visit Britain your experience and maybe being able to extend it to Scotland? There is not so touchy anymore, the Scottish problem now. And maybe, anyway, you know. And second question, will you have some things to give to the to the tour operator that we are from Canada? A list of itineraries and things like that, and contacts and...
Yes, what I would hope is when we have completed this next project, so we're working with one existing destination, so we'll have 11 in total, so 4 from the first one, then an additional 6. That's 10 actually, so we'll have 10 itineraries. We'll have familiarization trips, which I would love to invite journalists and tour operators from around the world to come to England and extend that invitation and show you these itineraries and, you know, give you collateral such as the guides to take away. So yes, I'd welcome that.
World Travel Market is just coming, you know, in 2 weeks, and for all of you, will you be there? There will be some representation for disabled?
Yes, there is a session on accessible tourism. Unfortunately, it's not listed on the World Travel Market website, but it's on the Tuesday, I believe, at 4:30. Is it on there now?
On the website it is, but not in the printed catalog.
It's on the website now.
Yes.
Excellent. There's details on the WTMA website, Peter informs me. And there is a panel discussion on accessible tourism. And I'm pleased to say there has been a session over the past few years at World Travel Market. I chaired the session last year. I'm pleased that we're having another session. So hopefully every year we will have a session on accessible tourism. That's what I hope. Thank you.
Question at the back? Actually, and we can open up questions to the whole panel. We have a few more minutes.
I believe you said that you determined how many room nights were used by people with disabilities, or the accessible rooms that you sold. You gathered that data? Did you say that?
No, we didn't, Bonnie. We didn't gather room nights, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh, I thought you said you determined how many accessible rooms were... Okay, sorry.
No,
I was
we
going to ask
didn't,
you how
no.
you gathered that data.
No, sorry.
Yet you were able to quantify, though, in dollar terms, the value.
Hello, I'm not seeing you, but Regina Cohen from Brazil. Last year, I've been in London to a conference discussing legacies of the Olympic Games. And I stayed in a hotel, and the event was in University of East London, near the Olympic Games, the area of the Olympic Games. But a new hotel there, where I stay, is the Ramada. I suppose, being on the Olympic area, they should be accessible, but they had many problems. But we visited the park, the village, and everything of the Olympic Games. We wanted to see for the experience of Rio now that the next Olympic Games. And they were preparing for the legacy for the year that you are saying we are beginning now. Because there were few persons there. And I have the luck to go to the first birthday of the Paralympic Games, and it was fantastic because many persons, but in a common day you don't have many persons there in the area. So it's about what you feel about the legacy now, because you need a lot of time to feel the legacy. This is what I want to know.
Quite briefly, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, when Britain put in for the Olympic and Paralympic Games, one of the reasons they won it is because they based it so strongly on legacy. I believe we are seeing a legacy with regards to the Paralympics, and not just within physical venues, but if you look at TV and programming and the news nowadays, disabled people are just quite rightly mainstreamed across all of our TVs. Our news presenters are disabled, our TV shows. It's really just brought disability in England, you know, even further forward. Now, I recognise there are still many instances of access that isn't perfect, but you know, to be able to say that all of our taxis, all of our buses are now fully accessible in London, are things that we could never say. And we have more legislation coming. In 2020, all of our trains across the country have to be accessible. So there is a legacy. It's not all going to be delivered within a couple of years after the Games. We're going to keep seeing that legacy over the coming years.
Thank you. Sorry, madam, just one more at the back.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm come from Norway and I'm blind, so I think this question is for all of you. If you come alone as a disabled person, can you get or hide assistance? Because many disabled person like to travel alone, and the main problem is to get assistance. Is it possible? Thank you.
Would anybody like to? Peter?
Well, I can say that in Flanders I know 2 services at this moment who provide personal assistance for visitors also in holiday context. And also during the summer season there's also specifically focused on the coastal area because it's a very big domestic touristic area. Then we have on most beaches personal assistance available for everybody.
Thank you, Peter. Would anyone else on the panel like to comment on that?
I would suggest to get into the special website, in our case, which is tourismforallcatalonia.com, I think. Not catalonia.com alone, which is just a general promotion, and get in touch with one of these few, but existing already travel agencies that can provide any kind of service, from a package to an assistance. I mean, it's something. It's somehow tailor-made, and it depends on the needs and the requirements of the client. Yeah.
Thank you. There was a question in front, Madame, in front. Yep.
The study that you just finished, is it available to the general public, like the complete study, all the details of it, or do we have to buy it?
No, you don't have to buy it. The statistics are available, and sorry, Bonnie, I think I was getting confused. The statistics I presented at the start, yes, we do know room nights. We have a lot of data, but the actual campaign, which you're asking about, no, we don't have that in any different format yet. But at the end of
the 12.4.
Oh, the statistics. Yes, yeah. So it's in what we call an infographic, and that's something I've been tweeting fiercely today because we just released it this morning. So if you're on, are you on Twitter? Do you use Twitter? Yes. Yeah. If you look for me on there under the Destinations for All hashtag, you'll see that I've been pushing it out today.
Thank you. Can I quickly tell the person who was looking for the assistance? And one thing that we have found, which is very useful, is any place that you want personal assistance, and to look for one of the hospitals and search and look for some nurses. As you always find somebody who is who is ready to put in some extra work. And there would be nurses who have been trained to take care, so it becomes easier for somebody who's traveling and who needs a personal assistant at the place.
Thank you.